Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Yo, dude, are you racing with him tonight? Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Talk of the Devil's pre-season testing, and we will be testing at the famous French track Paul Ricard. You'll be going through the next couple of sessions with myself, Ivan Delport, and I shall be commentating through you the next couple of sessions. We will be doing a full qualifying session tonight that will consist of qualifying 1, quali 2 and quali 3, and then we will move on to a 100% practice race. Much for joining us on the Talk of the Devil. This is the Talk of the Devil main league. Remember, guys, ladies and gentlemen, that we do have 2 other leagues running under the Talk of the Devil name. That will be the Talk of the Devil Academy League and Stream League, which will runs a with the multiplayer vehicles, and it is a 50% league on a Sunday. And as we are sitting waiting to join in on the action for Quali 1, let's give you a bit of history about the lovely Paul Ricard track. The Paul Ricard, based in the south of France, has been part of the F1 circuit for a very long time, coming in and out. It is situated in France, like I said, with a population of 67 million and 27 different regions within the country. Corsica being the birthplace of Napoleon. Paul Ricard first opened up on the 19th of April 1970. The 7 times the winner of the circuit has gone to win the championship, and the most one driver around the circuit is Alain Prost, with the most successful wins 4 times being at the circuit. There are a good couple of action zones to be looking out for, but before we get into that, we've got the circuit, which is a 3.6 mile length of a circuit. It's got 2 DRS zones, 15 corners, 6 to the left and 9 to the right. Action zones, turn 1 in 2018, Bottas and Vettel going for a good battle there. Same year in 2018, turn 8, Kimi Raikkonen versus Ricciardo, and then turn 11 in 2018, Ricciardo versus Vettel. And we've got the 3 tyre types tonight, which will be the C4, the soft, the C3, the medium, and the C2, the hard. Bearing in mind, the soft will go between 11 to 20 laps, medium will last about 13 to 23, and the compound will be around about 30 to 43 laps. As we take a look now, we have Callum, the reigning champion for the Talk of the Devil League, out on track. We've got Dean. We've also got... You're going to have to excuse me, I'm still getting used to a lot of the names. We've also got a couple of announcements to make a little bit later on in the stream regarding drivers and their first and second positions within the teams. I will also reveal some of the managers, or the managers that will be running the team as well, as we drive on board here with Callum. As we see, he's coming around the long right-hander, basically coming down to about 4th gear and then accelerating up into this tricky left-hander. Let's get some info on the board here. Right, and as we watch Callum start his first flying lap, we see he's on the hard tyre, so it's just basically a pre-season test. I'm sure it's just a way of the guys to suss out one another. So on track at the moment we have 5 drivers. Okay, so the first one setting the time on the clocks would be Dean with a 1:36.1. Dean and Kieran being the 2 Red Bull drivers this evening. And I've also been told that I can say that Kieran will be driver number 1 for Red Bull, and Dean being driver number 2, being confirmed. So as we look at the tables at the moment, it looks as if we're doing the practice first. So looking at this, we've got Kieran doing a 1:35.6. We've got Dean doing a 1:36.1. We have Kyle sitting in 3rd at the moment with a timesheet for McLaren with a 1:36.4. Callum doing a 1:37.8, and must be James in the Toro Rosso in 6th place with a 1:46.6. Sorry guys, it does take quite a bit of time getting used to the names. I promise I shall get better along with the league. I'm standing in for Kenzie at the moment, Fraser Kenzie, and I will actually be commentating the Canabia League. Oh, as we watch Jamie, as he likes to be not called, having a bit of a tank slapper there, losing the back end of the car. So as we take a look here, we've got first the 2 Red Bulls running on the harder tyre. We've got Kyle running with a medium tyre. We've got Caesar in the Force India at the moment, who's now just gone into 4th place with a 1:36.6 on a hard tyre. We've got Jamie 1:37.3 on the medium. As we take a look at Devon in the Alpha. Oh, and we've got a bit of a spin there by Devon. So this race, ladies and gentlemen, is to determine where the drivers will fit in, if they will be driver 1 or driver 2 within the standing of the team. I've got a list of the teams and managers in front of me. We'll actually go from the top of the list. So we've got Ashley, who will be managing McLaren and Williams through the season. Driving for McLaren, we've got Luke and Kyle. As we see Jamie coming into third place. Who looks to be on a hot lap as we watch Kyle in the McLaren sporting the papaya orange and the blue. Definitely looking a little better from last year's game, 2018. As you can see, that beautiful blue. The lighting on this 2019 game has definitely been something a lot of gamers have been talking about. So back to the list. We've got Luke and Kyle for McLaren. We've got for Williams, Willem and Jorge. And as I said, they will be run by Ashley. The next two teams that will be run by Ben, which will be Haas and Alfa Romeo. Alfa coming back this year under the Alfa Romeo name and have bought out Salba. And driving for Alfa will be Hussein and Devon. Haas drivers will be Jimmy and Gareth. Phil will be running the following two teams, which will be Red Bull and Toro Rosso, and confirmed to be Kieran and Dean running for Red Bull. Kieran being driver number 1 and Dean being driver 2. For Toro Rosso, James and Lee. James being number 1 and Lee being the number 2 driver. The next two teams will be run by James, Ferrari and Renault. For Ferrari we have Panagiotis and Gary Braddon. And for Renault we've got Chris and Matt Dixon. And then the last two teams, which will be run by Scott, will consist of Merck, Mercedes-Benz and Racing Point. Driving for Merck would be Callum and Steve, and Racing Point's two drivers are Caesar and Gregor. So, as we take a look at the timesheets at the moment, in first place we've got the Ferrari setting the pace with their 1:34.2. We've got Caesar in the point racing with a 1:35.3. 1:35.6 for Kieran. 1:35.6 for Kyle. We've got Stephen, who has just come in. Oh, and we've got, as I was saying that, we've got Dean, who has come in with a 1:35.9, putting him in 5th place at the moment on the timesheet. We've got Stephen running in the Mercedes-Benz with a 1:35.9. We've got Jamie in the Toro Rosso with a 1:36.3. Callum running on the medium tire. Oh, as I say that, we've got Devon coming through in the Alpha with a 1:36.5 for 8th place. Callum back down in 9th with a 1:36.7. We've got Hussein in 10th place, who is driving the Alpha along with Devon Then we have Gareth, and Gareth is running in the Haas. And in 12th place we have Lee running in the other Toro Rosso, right at the bottom with a 140.0. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we watch the guys doing their laps down the circuit Paul Ricard, we take a look at the track. It, like I mentioned, it first appeared on or opened up in 1970, and it was part of the calendar for 4 years. But let's move on a little bit forwards in time to 1999, when it was sold to a company called Excel, and the owner of the company being Bernie Eccleston. And he then invested quite a lot of money into bringing the track back onto the Formula One calendar, which it made its debut back in Formula One in 2018. And it's a very distinct track running with its red, blue lines all over the track at the moment. So taking a look at the different configurations of the track at the moment, with the current layouts, you can get 167 different configurations coming out of this track, ranging from the shortest being 826 meters to the longest being 5.861 meters, which is the length of the track. A full GP circuit. So let's take a bit of a run with the man on the top of the timesheets at the moment. And that would be Panagiotis. And we shall take a drive on board with him. As we see here, coming back down the main straight, hitting the right-hander, quite a fast right-hander, and into the long right-hander. This is about a waiting game around this corner. And we get into this corner, looking very smooth, coming right in there for the apex, hugging the shoulder, going for the right to the limits of the track. Also very smooth on the apex there as we come around the last corner, and it's a dash down to the line. DRS is being opened, and he does a 1:34.078, improving on his time. As we ride on board now with Caesar, and Caesar will be pulling into the pit entrance, and I'm sure a lot of the guys watching tonight will have noticed that the French Grand Prix pit lane entry was actually revamped for better pit lane entry on the actual F1 season. However, the game still has the original pit entrance right on the main straight. You would have thought that I do understand that Codemasters launching the game so early would have made it difficult for them to actually code it in. As we switch over to Kieran in the Red Bull. The famous blue and red stripes along the French track, made of different materials. The blue being a mixture of asphalt and tungsten, which is one of the hardest materials known to man, and the red being a lot of harder substance, allowing for more grip, just in case the drivers happen to lose the control of the car and head in that general direction of towards the wall. As we take a look at Kyle, looking very, very slow. Yeah, definitely pulling into the pits there. Caesar coming back out for another couple of laps. Dean running in the Red Bull, and referring back to this weekend's German Grand Prix, Gasly having a bit of a fail with his Red Bull and putting it into the wall. It was mentioned that there was an impact of about 10 Gs, so quite a hard impact. And I mean, coming around that final corner in Germany, it's you're committed, and I don't know if you guys have seen the replays, but you can see he loses the tail end and overcorrects, and by the time he had that car ready, it was already into the wall, which has put him into Gasly into some hot water when it comes to the bosses at the Red Bull team. A lot of questions about Gasly's future with the team. James running in the Toro Rosso, color matching helmet. Also, you will have noticed that the cars are quite wide this year. Front wing being 2 meters long. I mean, it's amazing. But I suppose you actually do need that type of length if you want to get the right downforce on these new cars, with the new regulations coming in. We are now on with Devon in the Alfa Romeo. I really do like the pattern and the design or the livery on this car. As you see, I'm coming down to third gear, which is around about into second around the chicane. But looking very smooth as it comes down the back straight. We have Hussein in the garages at the moment. He's sitting in 10th. A 136.933, and we have Gareth in the Haas. Only Haas running in this practice session at the moment, and as a lot of F1 followers would know, Haas also having quite a bit of issues with one of their main suppliers being rich energy drinks. Let's hope, for the sake of Haas, that it doesn't play havoc with the rest of their F1 season, being 2 races away from the summer break. So taking a look, coming around the right-hander. Such a tricky corner this. As we can see, the Mercedes getting out of the way there, giving the Haas a bit of a chance to have some breathing room. Try not to block him for his lap. So let's ride on board with Caesar. Driving on board with Caesar, coming around to the last corner, which is actually quite a tight one, down into second place, or into second gear. Hitting the DRS, one of two on this track. Pushing it in, keeping it into seventh gear, coming down for the left and the right, looking very smooth. And that section on that chicane actually being very undulating, so it's got this really interesting line coming through there. If you happen to go a little bit too fast, you're going over track limits. Coming in down the back straight, hitting the second DRS zone, coming quite late with the DRS there by Caesar. Pushing it into 8th gear. As you can see, the guys are still getting used to their cars, not quite hitting the apexes at the moment. Let's move around. So we will take a look at the top of the timesheets at this present moment in time, with Callum doing a 133 and Dean doing a 133, just a couple of tenths between them, really. 133.824 for Callum and doing a 133.25. That's we're definitely getting to the point where they're running a little bit lower fuel loads, I think. So we're getting a bit more of a picture of what we could be seeing in the qualifying sessions. As you join us while we spectate a little bit with Dean in the Toro Rosso, the only other person getting into the 1 minute 33s. So at the moment, constructor wise, it's all, look at the constructors lying in the timesheets at the moment. You've got Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari having a tough time this weekend actually on the German track. Both drivers dealing with a mechanical issue on their car, forcing Vettel to actually go out in Q3 and Leclerc going out in Q1. So Ferrari technically getting a 10 and 20 place on the qualifying today. Track being a lot cooler in Germany because of the heat wave that we've all really struggled with in Europe. Right, as we are now on board with the Ferrari of Panigiliottis. Struggling with some of the names. Being South African, there's a lot of different cultures here in the UK, and getting to know a lot of their names is quite tricky. As we watch the Ferrari go quite wide there. Oh, and he's losing it. Does he pull out of the lap? He surely would. Going wide around that corner. As we watch the Ferrari pull back into the pit lane. So as we watch Stephen giving Gary and Callum a really good race over the last season in Mexico. And as we know that Gary and Callum having a really good battle on that Pacific day. So we've got a change at the top. Oh, and we've got we've definitely got Stephen doing a bit of corner cutting there just to get into the pits a lot quicker. So we've got at the moment down the table, it is James, Callum. Oh, and Callum, just as I'm saying that, is doing a 132.797. So he's on provisional pole, or top of the chart at the moment in this practice session. So it is then Callum, James, Dean, Panigliotis, Stephen, Caesar, Kieran, Kyle. I can actually laugh at myself for this. Devon. Devon and Hussein being top 10, and then we've got Gareth and Lee sitting just outside the top 10th in an 11th and 12th respectively. So we'll go according to constructor. It's Mercedes-Benz, Toro Rosso, Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, Point Racing, Red Bull, McLaren, the two Alphas, 9th and 10th, the Haas, and the other Toro Rosso sitting right at the bottom. So we will ride on board or just spectate Stephen for the moment as we see him coming out on the softer tyre. So the softer tyre being the C4 tyre, being 11 to 20 laps of lifetime. Definitely think tyre management is going to be a big factor this season. Knowing that the wear rates of the soft being quite dramatic. They do tend to come in a little bit round about lap 13 to 14, and then they do drop quite quickly. And you can actually see your lap times drop. So this is Stephen currently sitting in 7th with a 134.181. So this will be quite interesting to see how he does running on the soft tyre. So we will... There's yellow flag out on... up there. So we will ride on board with Stephen as we open DRS, coming to 7th, 8th, getting up to about 327 k's an hour, coming down to 6th gear to 170. Keeping nicely in there smooth, getting up to 7th gear, coming down 3 gears to 4th, coming into this hairpin, quite tricky. Hitting the 2nd gear, probably the second slowest part of this track. As we come down the back straight, DRS opening, allowing the car to open up, getting to about 330 k's an hour, braking quite hard into the chicane, looking very smooth there, hitting the apexes quite well. And we come to this fast right-hander, just a gentle tug on the steering wheel, and then it's just basically gearing down along this this right-hander into this tricky left-hander, and then you hug the line right on the edge here, taking a wide-ish line into the double apex there. Last corner, running a little bit wide, coming down for the DRS open, and puts himself in a 1:32.56, 200ths or just over basically 200ths faster than his teammate Callum, the reigning world champion at the moment. As we'll go and take a look down the line. We've got the McLaren coming just into the pits now of Kyle. He's sitting comfortably. Well, he's got some space. There's about just under a hundredths of a second, a couple of hundredths of a second up on 4th. We've got Jamie sitting in 4th in the pits. We will ride on board here with Dean, also running the soft tyre out with his outlap, as we spectate with Dean. And as Dean starts his flying lap on the soft compound tyre. Now here's the question though: is he running a high fuel load, or is he running low fuel load to see what we're looking at with regards to qualifying paces? So we've got a yellow flag on track. Oh, but that was quite quick. Probably just someone just running offline. As you can see, we've still got about 50 minutes of practice to go. Oh, going very wide there by Dean. Around the final corner, going down to about 95 k's an hour, and we've got Dean coming in there into 3rd place, with a 1 minute 32:09:08. So at the moment we've got the two Mercedes-Benz at the top of the timesheets. We've got Red Bull, McLaren, Toro Rosso, Point Racing, the other Red Bull, Ferrari, the two Alphas. Looks like Ferrari motors really are struggling on this track today, by the looks of it. I mean, you've got the three teams that are running Ferrari motors at the moment basically sitting in the bottom half of the time charts at the moment. I mean, you've got Ferrari themselves, and you've got the two Alphas running in 9th and 10th Ferrari motors, and then you've got the Haas also running in 11th place, running a Ferrari motor. And then right at the bottom we've got Lee in a Honda powered Toro Rosso. So Dean comes across and splits the two splits the two Mercedes-Benz with a 132.767. But if these are the timesheets at the moment, I'm telling you now, in qualifying, especially quali 3, I'm sure we're going to be able to be getting into probably the 1 minute 29s, which will be quite a feat. And as I've been looking at my timesheets here, we've noticed that Panagliotis pipping in there in first place on the top of the timesheet with a 132.0. He's almost a second faster than Steven in the Mercedes-Benz. So you got Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull. Not much different to real life then, are we? That is a very good lap on practice for looking at that. So we've got I just can't believe that lap that Ferrari's just put it in there with a 132.0. Basically almost half a second faster. So you definitely know these guys can be running a lot lower fuel loads. This is going to be quite an interesting and tight season. I really do think so. As we watch Callan in the Mercedes-Benz. So as I've noticed in the practice at the moment, we've got one Ferrari running, two Mercedes, two Red Bulls, one Force India, one McLaren, two Toro Rossos, two Alphas, and one Haas running. in this practice session. So we do not have a Williams being represented tonight, or so far, and we do not have any Renaults on track at the moment. So we'll watch Callum start his flying lap. The left, then right. Trying to carry him as much speed down to the next chicane, into the next set of corners. Wow. Taking it quite nice and smooth, having a double bite there by the looks of it. Into sector 2, down the back straight, DRS wide open there. Coming into the chicane area, which was quite a bit of a big thing on in France this year, with Daniel Ricciardo causing a bit of mayhem right at the end of the race. I think it was the last lap of the race, yes. Coming through, passing Lando Norris, who was having mechanical or some sort of issue with the car at the time. Going very, very wide off the racing line to pass him, which basically allowed the two Renaults to have a good four-way battle between the McLaren, the Alpha of Kimi Räikkönen, and the other Renault of Hulkenberg. It was actually a very, very, very... Oh, and we've got a bit of a blockage there by the Red Bull on Callum's lap. That would have cost him a little bit of time, having to pull out of the corner like that. So as the time sheets look at the moment, we have the Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, Mercedes, the Toro Rosso of Caesar. We've got James running in the Toro Rosso in 6th. 7th would be the McLaren. 8th, the Red Bull of Kieran. 9th is Devon in the Alpha. Hussein in his sister car in 10th, and then the Haas and the Toro Rosso being the bottom of the timesheets at the moment. I think Callum is on a cool down lap, being 600ths of a second down on his time, or down on his time. Let's take a look, see if we catch anybody else on a flyer as we ride on board with Devon. He's already done 3 laps on the specific tires, the soft compound. Oh, and he's pulled out of the lap. Definitely allowing more than enough space for his fellow drivers on the track. Still right on board with Kyle. He is now out on... Well, he's out on the... Well, coming off the back straight. You should probably see him do a lap soon. Okay, as we watch Kyle start his flying lap. So you can clearly see the fastest tire is definitely the soft. I still can't believe that lap the Ferraris just put in, really. Or well, put in. It's amazing. Half a second quicker than Steven in the Mercedes-Benz. Could he give his teammate Gary Braden a good run for his money this season? As we have a yellow flag in Sector 3. So we still have 34 minutes of practice session going. As far as I know, we are still going to be doing a full qualifying session and a full 100% race. Just a couple of tenths between third and fourth, or hundredths of a second between third and fourth. So we'll spectate with Caesar at the moment. Caesar really not on a pushing lap there. He's nearly 1.4 seconds slower. Oh, I stand corrected. Sorry. Caesar putting in a nice lap there, putting himself into third place with a 1:32.7. So now you've got the top 5 in the 1:32s. See, got Caesar there running a white and grey with black line design on his helmet. Could be yellow or mustard from what I see here now. Back on board with Callum, with Ferrari right behind him. Will the Ferrari be able to get a good tow down the DRS zones, giving him a better time? No, Callum letting the Ferrari through. As we drive on board now with the Ferrari. Yes, there are some really good lap times coming through. Jamie doing a 1:33.1, sitting in 7th place at the moment. And you've also got Stephen sitting in 2nd with a 1:32.5. So we're just spectating now with the Ferrari of Panagiotis. I see he's sporting the number 69 on that Ferrari. And I'm sure that's the amount of people in the garage that are upset with what happened with Ferrari today. Gotta be like 69 million people, if you're supposed to think about it. Really, really disappointed in what happened with Ferrari today. I mean, Toto Wolff must have prayed to some sort of god, the F1 gods, man. For him to have his Mercedes-Benz in the front there, where Ferrari really did look like the faster car today. It's just hard luck. And when will Vettel actually get a bit of a break? I mean, that man has not really had a break from this time last year, where he basically cost himself the championship last year, driving into, I think it's Cox Corner or something like that, or could stand corrected, be corrected on that name. But it's definitely the corner that comes into the stadium, the banked corner. It was definitely raining, it was wet, and I think he just lost concentration for a millisecond, and by then it was too late and he was into the barrier. So that man is starting from the back of the grid. Oh, and we've got the Ferrari going very, very wrong in the left-hander. Like I said, it is a very catchy corner, that very tricky, and clearly just losing the back end. By rights, we can watch him now pulling into the pit lane. Who is out? So we've got Caesar on an out lap, and we've also got Kyle on an out lap as well. We will stick with Caesar as he is on the softer tire. No, he's on the medium. He's on the medium tire. So we will see what he does with that medium tire, being fresh. And we've got Kieran pipping his teammate there into 4th place with a 132.740. So now we've got the top 6 in the 132s, 7th, 8th, 9th in the 133s, 10th in 134, 11th with a 135, and 12th with a 137.2. We've got 26 minutes and 40 seconds left of practice, and the timesheets look at the moment the Ferrari of Panagiotis with the 132.025 right at the top of the list, and then we've got Stephen in the Mercedes-Benz. Caesar, who we're spectating at the moment, is in 3rd place with the point racing. We've got the 2 Red Bulls lying in 4th and 5th. The 2nd Mercedes of Callum sitting in 6th place. McLaren in 7th. Jamie in 8th. We've got Devon in 9th. We've got Gareth with the Haas now sitting in 10th, pushing Hussein down into 11th, and we've still got Lee running in 12th place right at the bottom. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to welcome you once again to the practice session of the Talk of the Devil Main League. This is a pre-season test to determine which driver will be taking which position within the team. Like I mentioned before, we do have a couple, 2 teams with confirmation. At the moment, we've got for Red Bull, Kieran as driver number 1 and Dean as driver number 2. with Toro Rosso have confirmed their drivers. James being driver number 1 and Lee being driver number 2. I will be with you ladies and gentlemen in a few seconds. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back with you. I've just been informed that it is a pre-season test, so it will be a long practice session, which we have 17 minutes left, and it will be a short quali with a 5-lap race. Once again, we're at the circuit Paul Ricard, located in the south of France. So, getting back to the timesheets, we've got the Mercedes of Callum at the top with a 1:31.5. Then the Ferrari with a 1:31.7. Stephen being sitting in third place at the moment. Timesheets with a 1:35, a 1:32.7 for Caesar. Kieran with a 1:32.74. Dean with a 1:32.76. We've got Kyle with a 1:32.879. We've got Devon in the Alpha with a 1:33.005. We've got Jamie with a 1:33.1. We have Gareth in the Haas sitting in 10th place with a 1:34.5. Hussein with the other sister Alpha with a 1:35.6. And still no change from Lee with a 1:72.33. Guys are definitely starting to bring out a little bit more pace. With basically two hundredths of a second between first and second, and then a full second down into third. Guys are definitely bringing out some power laps at the moment. So we're spectating now with Dean as we come towards first two corners. Then it's corner 3. Down to fourth gear for corner 4. 5 and 6 being quite tight. And then corner 7, which is a really flat out. You're not really noticing that in a Formula 1 car. Coming down the back straight with the DRS. Coming into the chicane for corner 9 and 10. Corner 11. Corner 11 being long right-hander, and corner 12 being quite a tricky one. Really easy to outbrake yourself for that corner. In corner 13 you hug along the track limits there into corner 14, which you take quite wide, and in 15, which is the last corner. And we watched Dean come across the line doing a 1:34.9, 2 seconds off of his best time at the moment. So we've got 1, 2, 3 drivers doing quite a long stints on the mediums. And we can see what their fastest times at the moment. Everybody has done a time with a soft tire. So we have Callum out on track at the moment. As we drive on board with, or we spectate with the reigning talk of the Devil League champion. Definitely going to be an exciting season to watch Callum defend his title. Gary Braden now having to start the season in Ferrari and being the only talk of the Devil driver to pass everybody on the on track. Last year at Singapore, really giving a good a showing there for his skills, and I'm sure if Gary Braden being in the Ferrari this season, definitely going to be up there challenging for that top prize of being the talk of the Devil League champion for season 2019 season. As we come down to just under 10.5 minutes left in this practice session at the circuit Paul Ricard. As we come down the back straight here with Callum, you will, I'm sure, notice in the background 1 or 2 planes taking off. The circuit being built right next to a small or light aircraft airport. Oh, beautiful shot on board on the right hand side of Callum's car. You see him just touch the apex there for the last corner, opening DRS, coming across that time at a 1:34.90. Must be practicing on his long runs. Yes, doing 4 laps at this present moment on the mediums. As we take a look here, we've got Kieran in the Red Bull, definitely doing a long stint. He's on lap 7 at the moment with the medium tyre. His best time being a 1:32.7, which has got him 5th fastest at the moment. As we actually look at the shot of all the Honda-powered vehicles for the season, the 2 Red Bulls, and right in between a Toro Rosso sandwich. And the Toro running very, very wide there. Probably a little bit loss of grip there by Jamie. Oh, and they come around that corner. DRS is open. Jamie going very wide. You've got Kieran coming up, tucking in. Oh, getting very close there. And allowing his teammate in the sister Red Bull to come up very close behind Kieran there. As we spectate here with Kieran. It's actually a really beautiful shot of all 3 Honda powered vehicles there. And we've got Dean coming down the back straight. Oh, all looking nice and neat there. The 2 teammates really giving each other a bit of a battle there. Probably just zoning in their skills for the season. As it comes down towards corner 11, which is more about gearing down, and we've got a bit of a touch there between the Toro Rosso of Jamie and the Red Bull of Kieran, so forcing Kieran to have a bit of a spin there. as we will then catch up with Dean, who's now right behind the Toro Rosso of Jamie. As Dean pulls out, coming down the main straight, really coming through. Jamie tucking in behind him as they look very comfortable with one another on the braking zones. And you can see that Red Bull running away from the Toro Rosso as it goes wide there by Jamie. So at the moment we've got Kieran doing 6 laps on his current medium tyre. We've got 8 laps for Kieran, who's just pulled into the pits now after that spin with the touch with Jamie and his Toro Rosso. We've definitely had Jamie coming off, taking out a few bollards there. You can definitely see he's running a low fuel load. And definitely going to be coming in for, I suppose, new tyres, because he's also done 9 laps on the medium tyre. Who else is... And we'll go now and see that Kieran is pulling out of the pit lane. Sporting an interesting yellow, blue and red combination helmet there. Definitely fitting with the design of the Red Bull that he's driving this season. Very color coordinated. So we can see that Kieran has already done 1 lap on the specific set of tyres he's on, which is the soft, the C4. He's currently on his out lap. Will we be seeing him do a couple of flying laps? 4 minutes 25 seconds left of the session. I definitely think the guys are going to start running low fuel loads just to see what we're going to be getting in the opening season or opener on what pace we've got. Just a reminder of the teams and managers and the drivers for each team. We've got Ashley running both McLaren and Williams. The 2 McLaren drivers being Luke and Kyle. We've got the Williams drivers, Willem and Jorge. Ben managing both Haas and Alpha. Haas drivers being Jimmy and Gareth. And the Alpha drivers being Hussein and Devon. Phil will be running the 2 Honda powered motored vehicles. That will be Red Bull and Toro Rosso. As confirmed, Kieran being driver number 1 and Dean being driver number 2 for Red Bull. And Toro Rosso having James and Lee being first James driver, driver number 1 James and driver number 2 being Lee. As we move to the next 2 teams, which is run by James, and he will be running Ferrari and Renault. Panagliotis setting second at the moment with a 1:31.7, being one of the 2 Ferrari drivers, Gary Braden being the second of the 2 drivers. For Renault, we've got Chris and Matt. Matt Dixon being a commentator last season for the Talk of the Devil. He's now got an opportunity to actually race with these top 20 guys on the Talk of the Devil League. We've got the last 2 teams run by Scott, and that will be McLaren and Racing Point respectively. 2 Mercedes drivers being Callum and Steve, and Racing Point being Caesar and Gregor. So, ladies and gentlemen, at the moment, with less than 2 minutes left, we've got Mercedes, Ferrari, Mercedes, Point Racing, the two Red Bulls, McLaren, Alfa Romeo, the Toro Rosso, and the Haas sitting in 10th place, and the bottom two, 11th and 12th, being Hussein in the Alfa and Lee being in the Toro Rosso. So will we be seeing any final fast laps within the last minute? I see Callum is still on his long run with the mediums. So with a minute left of the practice session, we've got Callum with a 1:31.5. Then less than 200, well, just over 200 of a second behind him is the Ferrari of Panagliotis. We've got Steve in the sister Mercedes, 1.05 seconds behind the top two. Caesar in the Point Racing, he has got himself a 1:32.7. Two Red Bulls running in fifth is Kieran with a 1:32.7, Dean with a 1:32.76, less than a couple of hundred seconds separating the two there. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been the practice session of France. If you stick around, we will get the short qualifier and the 5-lap race still to do with this practice session tonight. So in 7th, we've got the McLaren of Kyle with a 1:32.8. The Renault, the Alpha of Devon with a 1:33.005, a 1:33 flat basically. 9th place is a 1:33.1, 10th is a 1:34.5, 11th a 1:35.6, and 12th Lee being a 1:37.233. So that has been quite an interesting practice session from my side as we watch the last final cars come around to do their either come in or to finish their laps on this practice session. And we watch a little bit of showboating there by Kieran to come through and finish his lap, his practice session. And we've got Kieran coming through. And a little bit of showboating there by the league champion to complete his practice session. And as I look at the tables, we've got everybody that has done their practice sessions. As you can see, we're on board with Kieran, who has been first on the top of the timesheets. So as we look at it, we've got Mercedes, Ferrari, Mercedes, Point Racing, Red Bull, McLaren, Alfa Romeo, Toro Rosso, Haas, Alfa Romeo, and Toro Rosso, rounding up the lineup. That has been the practice session of this Talk of the Devil League. And we will be with you now with a short qualifying session and then into the 5-lap race. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Talk of the Devil League practice or pre-season race. We see a little bit of issues with Devon having a bit of technical issues there. Hopefully he will be able to make it back in time for the qualifying session. So, ladies and gentlemen, just like to remind you, we have 3 leagues running under the Talk of the Devil name. We've got the Talk of the Devil League, main league, and then we've got the second tier, which is the Talk of the Devil Academy League, and they are running at the same time on a Saturday. And as Q1 kicks off, we've got short quality going. So at the moment, if we take a look here, we've got a big shuffle happening. At the moment, we've got Dean sitting in first place in the Red Bull. Callum and Kieran having a good battle there for second place at the moment. Fourth, we've got the Ferrari. Fifth at the moment is the McLaren. And we've got Kieran pulling away in there with the first place at the moment. He's definitely looking really fast on the back straight here, coming into the hairpin or into the chicane. And we see Kieran coming through, pipping there between Kieran and Callum for first place. Dean coming down into fourth place with the Ferrari of Panagliotis coming in. Looks as if Callum has got first place. It's a tussle between Dean and the Ferrari of Panagliotis for third. We come down to corner 14 into 15 to the start straight finish line, hitting the DRS. And by the looks of it, we've got Callum doing a 130.604 with the 2 Red Bulls second and third respectively. It's piping up there for a good 5-lapper race. Looking at the results, we've got Callum, we've got Kieran, we've got Dean, we've got Panagliotis, we've got Caesar, we've got Kyle, we've got Gareth, and we've got Hussein. And that is the order in which they will line up for the 5-lapper. At the circuit Paul Ricard. We've got 10 seconds to go. It should be an interesting race. Hopefully I can entertain you, ladies and gentlemen, as we go through this 5-lapper. It's going to be an interesting one. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this is the main league. We've got the Academy League and then the final league, which is the Extreme League, which is our 50% league. And that is run by Caesar. And that is on a Sunday afternoon, 50% race distance. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are just waiting for the drivers on the line. I'd just like to say a big thank you for the people that are spectating at the moment. We at the Talk of the Devil League do appreciate you following us and just giving us some support. After all, we do this to entertain the drivers and to entertain the spectators. Give it a bit of a different feel there. Right, as well on the line, 5 lights, and off we go. Callum getting a really good start there. We've got Dean right behind him. We get into the first corner. We've got Callum in first, Dean in second, Kieran in third. And we've got a spin there by Kyle in the McLaren. We go back up to the top. We've got contact there with the Haas and the Racing Point. Oh, and we looks like we've got a bit of standby damage there to Hussein in the Alpha. So at the moment, coming down the back straight, we've got Callum in the Mercedes-Benz. We've got Dean in the Red Bull. We've got Kieran in the Red Bull. We've got the Ferrari sitting in fourth. We've got the Racing Point in fifth. We've got Hussein in the Alfa Romeo in sixth. We've got the McLaren of Kyle in 7th, and then the Haas of Gareth in 8th place. Let's get back to the front. So we're looking at we've got Callum coming towards corner 14, leading the race at the moment with a 0.4 gap between him and second place. Then we've got Kieran running in third place, also within a second of the leader at the moment. Okay, so we've got Callum with a 0.6 lead over Dean. We've got Kieran running behind his teammate in under a second from first place. 2.4 seconds behind him, we've got Pagliottis in the Ferrari. We've got Caesar running in the Racing Point, and that is for 5th place. We're getting into lap 2 now, as we watch Dean chase down Callum in the Mercedes-Benz. I see Callum is slowly starting to pull away there. That gap increasing to 0.7. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, on lap 3 the DRS gets activated, and that is activated when the driver behind is less than a second behind you. We're watching now the Red Bull of Dean as they come around turn 14, hard on the brakes for the turn 15. We see that Callum having a bit of a back end stepping out, and we're on lap 3, so DRS should be available, but down the back straight. Dean keeping Callum within distance of now, bringing that gap down to a 0.4 of a second. Let's see here, intervals. We've got a good fight here between the top 4 at the moment. As we drive on board, we see Kieran going wide, and the back straight coming down. We've got Dean that's got DRS, and DRS for the 2 Red Bulls, as the Ferrari is challenging for 3rd place there, as we see Kieran has managed to keep the Ferrari behind him into the chicane, and that gap is still at a 0.4 gap between Callum and Dean. We've got a change our position there. We see the Ferrari taking 3rd place from Kieran, and Kieran going for a bit of a drift there, but handling the car very nicely into corner 11. We've got a change here between the Alpha and the McLaren, also having a really good battle there for 6th place. And we get back to this battle between the Ferrari and the Red Bull. Oh, and we also watch here as they're coming down the main straight. Dean having the DRS, chasing the Mercedes of Callum. And then 1.1 seconds behind them is the battle for 3rd between Kieran and Agliotis in the Ferrari. We will now ride on board with the Ferrari as we watch closely between this battle. I'd say the gap is a little bit closer as they head down the back straight. DRS being available for the guys who are within a second of one another. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, all having their DRS wings open. As we watch the Ferrari catch the Red Bull of Dean, as the gap opens up a little bit between 3rd and 4th at the moment. We see that the Ferrari is definitely catching up there, coming into the corner 11, the long right-hander. You just got to be really good with your gears on this corner. And we see Callum is slightly opening the gap. He's definitely out of the 1 second barrier, out of the DRS zone. Will we see a challenge down the main straight for second between the Ferrari and the Red Bull of Dean? And we see that the DRS is open for the Ferrari coming down the back straight. See that Kieran has also kept the Ferrari within his grasp, staying in the DRS zone. We see that fourth is now creeping up to third place. Really, these guys are pushing one another on lap 5. So it's the last lap of the race. Yeah, at Paul Ricard. We will stick with this battle between third and fourth. DRS open for Dean. DRS open for the 2 Red Bulls. Kieran catching up with the Ferrari there. It's going to be a lunge down here as Agliatis makes a bit of a mistake, allowing the Red Bull to creep up to him. And it is now a fight down the last section of the back straight. Coming around corner 10, which is flat out corner 11. Just using your brakes slightly bit and using your gears. We will come up to first place, who's coming around corner 12 into corner 13. Callum really showing that he's out there to defend his title this season around as we come around the last bend. So for the end of the practice session for the Talk of the Devil is Callum in first, Dean in second, Agliatis taking fourth place, so that would be Kieran in third. So we've got Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, Racing Point. We watch the McLaren coming across the line in sixth place, and then the Alpha of Hussein, and then Gareth coming out in 8th place. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for staying on the line with me over the practice session and the short quali and race of the pre-season test with the Talk of the Devil guys. I've been your commentator for these couple of sessions, Ivan, and hopefully we will have Kenzie joining me in a good commentary session with the opening session. Well done to Callum and to the 2 Red Bulls for coming in their respective positions. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We'll just take a look at the last time sheet. Callum, Dean, and Kieran rounding up the top 3 with the Ferrari in 4th, Caesar in 5th, Kyle in 6th, Hussein in 7th, and then Gareth in the Haas with 8th place. As we take a look there, we see that both the Ferrari and the McLaren having 3 second having penalties each. Well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed the commentary over this practice session. We will then catch you for the Talk of the Devil Leagues when they start. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night. Ivan Delport signing off.